enterprise software sunsetting, technology that involves semiconductors advancing. The semiconductors are more responsible for the humanoids, for many of the things that we expect to happen in the next 3-5 years. The hardware is more important than software, and that's what this is about. It's very tough for people to understand, but it is the truth.
Yep, NVIDIA is a bit lower, but Citi today does go to 190 on an expanded TAM for AI.
I think people should read if they have access to Citi's notes. They've got a tag team of great analysts there, and I agreed with everything they wrote because this is the ascendant time. I don't think people realize that this market has been in the grips of high price-to-earnings multiple capital software that, frankly, is not doing nearly as much. Now, this is tough for me because Mike Charitable Trust owns Salesforce.
Yeah.
And Salesforce, even though it's embraced agentics, is regarded as a company that, well, you know what, they have a lot of stuff that really doesn't do anything. How about that Texas Instruments? And it's a nice renaissance. And it's, like when I look today, there's a big Broadcom bond deal, and I'm saying, wow, well, they did a lot of great things. And I see semis doing terrific things, and I see them all still not that high when it comes to the price.
Interesting, because for a while the thinking was, oh, software is harder to tariff than hardware, right? And that enterprise software would have some edge on chips.
It turns out that we dominate. And you may say that we dominate in enterprise software, but this is very much of a retail-driven market, where retail was not blown out by what happened. I was talking to a very wise friend of mine who was saying, Jim, how come you never talk about the fact that this was one of the greatest recoveries from a low that we've ever seen?
Oh, yeah.
And it's been led by new companies that are great, and it has just been broad and exciting. Why don't you try to capture that? I said, geez, I don't know if I could be more broad and exciting about it than I am. But I love the companies that are going higher.
Yeah,
I just love them.
I am curious about your new acronym. Is it M&M?
Well, what I did was take a look at what finished strong. And I've got to tell you, I mean, first of all, Microsoft finished. That was just one incredible run. That is a higher multiple. Meta still has a low multiple. Meta's recreating and disintermediating the entire advertising business, along with Amazon, along with YouTube, but Meta's the leader. And then NVIDIA came up. I mean, look at the NVIDIA comeback. I mean, without China, which was what Jensen Huang has said could be a $50 billion opportunity, with a $4.5 billion write-off. They managed to get to an all-time high. A lot of people felt that NVIDIA was done when the stock touched 100. What a comeback. Now, some of that is because of sovereign, that the president went and developed new markets for them. I do think we're not paying enough attention to the Cadence Synopsys deals where the president has greenlit them. They are the two best partners of NVIDIA. I keep thinking what Jensen Huang said on Mad Money, which was that I trust the president. He trusts the process, and the process would begin by having Cadence and Synopsys in there, because those are 1 and 2 the most important players. That when you have NVIDIA, you tend to have Cadence and Synopsys. So it would be natural if the government of China would say, you know what, we're going to get long-term rare mineral deals, not these short-term deals,
right,
in return for a different version of NVIDIA. Then that's what I felt NVIDIA stocks showed, that's a possibility. That would be something.
Right. We did get CoreWeave and Core Scientific
finally. Yes, and they're all over me today. And CoreWeave is saying that this helps them immensely in terms of the amount of power they have, and it's actually a good deal for the finances. The stocks turned up. You know, they were up big on. Well, CoreWeave was up big, and it's giving back that. But this is the kind of deal that if I were Lina Khan at the FTC, I would say, wait a second, Core and Core, no, we will not let a Core merge with a Core. She wouldn't let an Apple Core.
You don't want a monopoly on the name Core.
Right. I mean, well, wait a second, there's too many cores. No, I mean, to be being facetious, but not really in some ways, because I think she would say these are two companies that could compete.
Right.
Which is true. But I think that this is the kind of deal that we ought to get used to having. It's one of the things that makes me bullish, which is that there's not any, you can make a deal if you think it's rational and not expect to be challenged. Now,
Steve, anywhere in the equity markets that you see unusual exuberance, just something that maybe it's a concentrated trade in and around AI, or something that you'd really want to keep your eye on?
I don't see exuberance, I see something very interesting developing, which is there's a thesis out there. It's not my thesis, but that for years hardware stocks always underperform software stocks, and the last couple of years because of NVIDIA, it's been the reverse. But the thesis is that we are at the beginning stages of a derating of software, and the reason is that the cost of creating software because of AI is plummeting. I mean, there's something I read in an article that's called vibe software creation, which is like morons like me can create software because I say to Perplexity, write me a program for whatever, and it writes it. So I think that the software that's being created today is going to cost so much less than the incumbents that it's possible some of these incumbents will have problems. And you're actually, if you look at the chart of Salesforce or Adobe, those charts don't look so good. And you would think in a bull market, those would be go-to stocks, but they're not. And I think maybe that's what's starting to seep in. And that's a very long-term thesis. It's a very long-term derating. But if it's right, we're at the very early stages of it.
So when you look at it, if the deficit doesn't matter, because I agree with you there, the dollar doesn't matter, weakness or strength doesn't matter. Treasuries don't matter. That doesn't sound right.
That's why I'm so happy.
Exactly, exactly. So when you look at it, for me, the market has collapsed on itself, and there's very few things that matter longer than a week. So
I don't agree with that.
So tell me what you think matters.
I think what matters is that the AI story is still in its infancy. And the reason why I say that is, what's the company with the largest market cap in the United States now? NVIDIA. It's almost $4 trillion. Its revenue grew 69% in the first quarter. It's a staggering. The largest company in the United States had revenue growth of 69%. That tells you this story is early. There's going to be a lot of appendages, and there's going to be a lot to do.
So long and strong NVIDIA still, and all the AI
and appendages.
AI trade. And the appendages.
I mean, there are appendages. For example, the need for electrical power is insatiable. Sure. So that's more of an industrial, certain industrial company story, which I find very interesting. But it's related.
That's your highest conviction trade right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve.
Now, for something that people maybe understand in terms of strength, not everybody got the NVIDIA GB300 NVL72 platform so fast, did they?
Yeah, so it's not even a question of whether or not they got the platform this fast. It's a question of, is there infrastructure, is there software stack built to be able to bring that online? And other people got it actually before we did, but our ability to kind of take the infrastructure and operationalize it and deliver it into a performant configuration for commercial use is just unmatched in the market.
Right. So you're still speaking to Jensen Huang, he's a big shareholder. Yeah. He is expressing that the demand is still incredible.
Yeah, you're feeling that demand from Jensen. You're feeling it from my peers across the infrastructure and cloud space. There were some very large deals. Ours was a $12 billion deal. There was another extremely large deal that was announced after that in the last few weeks. You're continuing to see broad-based demand for the product, for the infrastructure, for the compute to be able to drive artificial intelligence.
My sources indicate that there are many private equity firms that feel like, we got to bid off a little more than we can chew. Maybe we ought to sell them. Would those deals be accretive to you? Depends on the terms. But private equities, not everybody in private equity knew what the hell they were doing when they went into this business. You told me that would happen, and here it is. It's starting to develop, isn't it?
Yeah. So look, I think there are opportunities to position yourselves to take advantage of this wave. Right. And a lot of different folks took different positions in terms of how they wanted to address, the super cycle that's really being, that AI is driving. And our approach was to really start as close to the base layer as we could.
All right, I hope you're all doing well today and staying calm in this market. Much of the market traded lower today as the president reveals reciprocal tariff rates for some countries after extending the reciprocal tariff pause to August 1st. NVIDIA finished the day about 0.7% lower. Last week, CoreWeave announced the successful deployment of the first NVIDIA GB300 Blackwell Ultra system. This is NVIDIA's Blackwell Ultra and is launching ahead of schedule. NVIDIA originally guided for Blackwell Ultra to launch during the fiscal third quarter. Then Jensen told us at GTC Paris that GB300 was completely in production production. Then there were some reports that it may launch sometime in August or September. But now here we are with official confirmation of the first GB300 deployment from CoreWeave. Blackwell Ultra appears to be slightly ahead of schedule, and it should ramp very quickly, especially starting in August and September. Blackwell Ultra is essentially an upgrade of the chips within the Blackwell system, and it is not a complete system overhaul like Blackwell was. This means we are substantially less likely to see delays in the rollout of GB300 like what we saw with the GB200 Blackwell systems. And that is very good news. While I don't know what will happen in the short term, I continue to be bullish on the long-term future of NVIDIA, and I seriously think that this company still has a lot of runway ahead of it. Blackwell has ramped swiftly, and Blackwell Ultra should ramp even faster. After Blackwell has ramped, we should see margins return to the mid-70% range late this fiscal year, as NVIDIA forecasted. We have a clear data center product roadmap that stretches all the way into 2028. In 2026, we should start to see shipments of NVIDIA's next-generation Vera Rubin. The Vera CPU will be NVIDIA's first ever custom CPU built to work in lockstep with the GPU. And the Rubin GPU will, of course, provide substantial improvements compared to Blackwell. NVIDIA maintains their competitive moat across the entire stack, both hardware and software. And NVIDIA's software offerings in CUDA is a massive advantage for NVIDIA, as it is widely recognized and the go-to choice for many developers. I think that NVLink Fusion actually strengthens NVIDIA's competitive moat, as it increases the likelihood that customers will remain within NVIDIA's ecosystem. NVIDIA is delivering performance upgrades that are so substantial that their customers have no choice but to continue purchasing NVIDIA's latest products in large quantities. NVIDIA is bringing AI to the world's enterprise IT, which Jensen believes is an opportunity worth hundreds of billions of dollars. NVIDIA has massive sovereign AI deals both in the Middle East and Europe, and NVIDIA will play a crucial role in the future of quantum computing. Jensen told us at GTC Paris that NVIDIA is working with just about everyone in the quantum industry on NVIDIA's CUDA-Q platform, and that the next generation supercomputers will have a QPU assigned with QPUs connected to GPUs. Just as NVIDIA used their GPUs to speed up CPUs, they're now going to do the same thing with QPUs. Jensen thinks that the world's computing capex will reach $1 trillion annually by 2030. If he is correct, then NVIDIA should be worth substantially more in the years ahead than it is today. Remember to stay calm in this market. Remember to maintain a long-term perspective and do not make any hasty or irrational decisions. With all of that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.